Travis Wingate. So apparently there's a website for anything and everything I want to look up. Kind of cool. What great technology we have today. But sad thing is that it's also able to expose the corruption of people in positions of power and authority and trust. So, as I've been informing you, you've been hearing me cough, seeing me cough. In my videos, I've been trying to tell you it's not coronavirus, it's my allergies to pollution that I've had since I was a kid in Southern California. And it causes a phlegm thing, nasal passage as well as down here. And so I thought I'd check. You know, internet seems to show everything I'm looking for. So sure enough, yeah, there's Utah sites that show current pollution levels in the air. There's a thing called PM 2.5. It's what causes the haze. It's fine particulate matter. Yeah, at 3 in the morning, which is why I go early in the morning, is because the pollution level is at its lowest. And it was showing that it's unhealthy. Which means during the day it's even worse. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints knows my physical weaknesses because I sued them. And the federal judge, who is a Mormon, dismissed my case after I had won. I had beaten them. I didn't expect to win that way, but I still beat them in the other ways as well. And that's how corrupt the system is that despite truth being true, reality being real, they say, nope. Nope. We're stripping you of all your rights, liberties, and freedoms, denying your petition for a redress of grievances. Screw you for going up against the biggest crime organization the world has ever known. Even though I was able to show from the Book of Mormon, as a fellow Mormon, that what he was doing was wrong. Helaman chapter 6, by the way, in case you were wondering. As well as showing the pictures of the Star of Lucifer on Church Temple, Salt Lake Temple, and the Seagull Gate, and the Nauvoo Temple, blah blah blah. So they now know my weaknesses to allergies and the breathing problems that it causes. As Herbert purposely opened us up early, not just to spread a viral disease among Utahns, but also to return to the increased smog levels that Utah is infamous for worldwide, as being among the top in the world, because we're in a desert valley. The news will not call it pollution. They call it an inversion, or a haze, or anything else but pollution. But that's what it is, pollution. They are poisoning our land, and thus attempting to murder me, because they know I have breathing problems. And it was put in a lawsuit, and sure enough, I was attacked during the lawsuit, not just by the landlord that I've been talking about, but by the governor, who also wanted to chip in and help protect the church at all costs. And this pattern of poisoning is unique to the Illuminati way back in the day. Russia, having taken the Scottish Rite's logo seal with the two eagles, if you're familiar with Trump being a Putin puppet, he went to that one college where they had designed an American Russian seal for Trump with golf clubs and such. They should have put inverted pentagrams. They didn't know enough to go that far. But Putin is also infamous for his poisoning tactics. He poisoned a political opposition leader the other day. It made the news yesterday. And that's a common theme for Putin. He poisons people. The man in the UK with his daughter also traced to Putin. The UK condemned Putin for having done that. But it doesn't do any good if you just condemn somebody. You have to actually take action. And sanctions aren't enough either. It's a declaration of war when somebody gets poisoned in another person's land. But the viral attacks that we have with the coronavirus, that's a biological weapon that's being used against the world, but most especially against the United States, as it's the worst here in America. We are genocidally being murdered with a viral outbreak, a viral weapon of mass destruction. And so for the LDS Church, this is well known. There's scriptures in the Doctrine and Covenants that talk about how a righteous man can have drink poison and not die. So what better way for an enemy to mock you by demonstrating that you're either not a righteous man or your religion is a fraud by murdering you with poison. Samuel Smith, the younger brother of Joseph and Hyrum Smith, was poisoned by Brigham Young after the assassination of Joseph Smith and Hyrum. The church, of course, all these decades later, say, well, forensic science investigation from a medical professional forensic scientist concluded after a thorough autopsy that it was not by poison. Yeah, like they had that technology back then. I mean, if you remember, the school where Hyrum went to school, as they were only able to afford Hyrum going to that school there in Massachusetts by the border of Vermont. He was the one who, the doctor there was the one who was able to get Joseph Smith's leg worked on, as other doctors during the time would have just chopped it off to prevent the spread of the infection. And so that was the extent, is that you have the one medical doctor, I can't remember the name of the place, I'd have to check the map, but it'd take too long, I think, who was doing an experimental surgery at that early 1800 time period. And so, yeah, there was no forensic science that would be able to identify if poison was used in someone's body. So don't fall for those tricks by the church apologists trying to throw shade and distract people from what really happened in order to protect and defend the church at all costs. That's what they do with translation. You have the farms, which became fair, which became Fair Mormon, which became Maxwell Institute. Well, it became the Maxwell Institute after farms, and then they kicked out the guy who was brought in, grandfathered in, and Daniel Peterson, and then he became Fair, and then Fair Mormon now. But I think he's no longer a part of Fair Mormon, because I think he got booted out of Fair Mormon. And then the Deseret News picked him up as an editor. I don't know if he's still there now. What a joke he is. But yeah, he would get Mormons who claimed to be Egyptologists, claimed to be Hebraists, claimed to be translators, and why can't the prophets of the church, who are supposed to be translators also, remember? They're supposed to be. They just don't acknowledge it publicly. They leave that one out when they're doing the solemn assemblies and the sustaining votes in conference. But yeah, the church is desperately hoping that by denying they can get away with it, and Mormons will still trust and follow them. And they're right. Mormons do. So one counter that I have for my allergies is that I have an incredibly strong immune system. It just sucks. The church is wicked, and that should be obvious. Why Mormons would stick around only indicates that they too want to be wicked. I want to be bad. Willow Ford. So, alrighty.